You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to Season 3 and episode number 165, I believe it is, of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. Today, recording day is Monday, July 18th, 2023, and it's a gray 2023.
It's Tuesday.
Tuesday. Oh, yeah, it's true because we took Monday off. It is true. Yes, sorry.
Yeah,
Just
Tuesday.
correction. Yes, it is first show of the week for me. See, time means nothing.
Yeah, apparently.
It really hasn't since COVID. Okay, it is Tuesday, July 18th, 2023. And it looks like the sun is making a little effort, but it was raining this morning here at the Beaver Lodge. So who knows what the day brings. To be totally honest, kids, the computer was doing a couple of very strange things just before we went on. Nothing borked or anything, but just certain things that need to open that are saying, no, I don't want to right now. Thank you very much. So I don't actually have my intro in front of me, so I'm kind of winging it this morning. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, he, Mr. Beaver A. And with me, as always, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. Of course, a special thank you goes to our podcast's founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. And you know, I didn't look at it because it's not up. I need Viagra for my computer. So it's not up. Come on.
Sure, yeah.
It was sitting there. It was sitting there. We have a Tuesday morning. I have no idea whether or not it will be a nibble or a bite because we haven't talked before. But hey, before we move it forward, let's say hello to Mr. Grizzly and ask you how's your mental health today. And while you do that, I can pull up the script.
Good morning, Mr. Beaver. My mental health, I think is good. I'm just a little tired this morning, and I'm feeling a little allergic. I don't know to what, but I had to take a Benadryl, and I've got some heartburn, acid indigestion, upset stomach. You know that whole dance we do sometimes.
Yep,
So
yep.
yeah. Maybe
So
from
you've
the
been-
salad. I don't know.
So you've been, 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 you've b Going yum yum on the Pepto?
No, Enos is all I have, so that's going to have to
Oh,
do the trick.
oh, okay. I remember that. I was that weird kid that really liked Eno. I sometimes just drank it just because.
I don't know if that's a good idea, but
It probably wasn't. Okay, of course, I was the kid who liked broccoli and Brussels sprouts and liver. So don't ask me. I do not know how it happened. But
I'm
I
not
was
going to.
5. They put liver in front of me when I was 5, and I ate it. They put Brussels sprouts in front of me. I ate it.
Yeah,
I
no,
have trouble with foods that start with Z, though.
like zucchini.
I don't know. There's just something about the texture of the whole squash family that when I put it in my mouth is like, wow, I just can't do it. I don't know what it is. It's not the taste. It's really a texture thing.
Mm.
Does not work.
Mouth feel they call it. Eh?
Yeah, it's like, ugh. Nope, nope. Well, Mr. Grizzly, how was your weekend?
It was good. We went away Saturday morning. We drove up to Wakefield. Did some stand-up paddleboarding. Did some hiking. Had some drinks. Had some great food. Stayed in a really nice place. It was good. It was a really good time. I'm a little tired from it all, but it was worth it.
Mhm.
Well worth it. You?
Oh, we had a wonderful weekend. We left on Saturday to go to the Toronto area for my nephew Marco's 14th birthday.
Right, right.
Big one, the one right before starting high school. Um, Lovely time with family. Always
Okay.
is. Um, Always is. Which I always appreciate because, uh, foster homes and all that stuff. And then when mom passed away, it's like about 20 years ago now. That's there was a long gap with no family.
Right, right.
No, like us, unless you were going to somewhere with friends or, I happened to be dating someone at the time, it's like, and there was a time like about 4.5 years where I was not dating anyone on
Mm,
purpose. So yeah, it's I appreciate it more now given the period of time I didn't have it. Right? Because in the
right.
foster home, I mean, it's not your family, but I mean, the last one I was in there for 10 years. So, I mean, it was like kind of my family. I mean, we did the thing with the turkey and all around the table and all that kind of stuff, but it, it's different. It's just different. Um, well, it's different. I mean, how would I know? I've never had the other one. Well, I mean, if I compare it to now, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because this is my family.
Right.
Yeah, it's different. It's different. I can tell now how it's different. But I knew it wasn't. I knew it couldn't. I always knew there was something missing, right?
Mm,
So yeah, with this, it's nice. It's nice. It's always, there are times I when we're like leaving or getting ready, I don't want to go because I'm tired, and the introverted part of me says, okay, like we're going to be among like 4 or 5 to potentially 13 to sometimes if it's a bigger party where the friends come along, like 21 people, which is a lot for me over a sustained period. Plus, you're staying over, and
mm.
when you're at someone else's place, you're always the best possible version of you can be.
Well, one
Which,
certainly tries, right?
yeah, which, but requires some conscious effort. So, you get back home and you're just like, and I can just like I can take my socks off and put them on the table if I want to, and I can and I can leave the dish on the counter and do it tomorrow if I want to. By yourself,
Hmm.
you're like, oh, okay, we got out of bed and make the bed and fold all the pajamas and make everything nice and or sometimes you just get out of bed and so yeah, but once I'm there, it's it's just wonderful. It's
Mm.
just wonderful. So yeah, I'm happy to go. And like I say all the time, I brag about the two kids because they're really freaking amazing kids. So Marco's at that age where, um, you know, 14, where he's really intrigued and interested by stuff, and he's a really good volleyball player, but also sort of um, slightly awkward. So like when you're singing "Happy Birthday," it's like, come on, get it over. I don't want to be the center of attention.
Right.
But he loves it. He loves it because like he
Most
goes
do.
around, he hugs absolutely everyone, like this, and loves talking to them and has conversations. Like he loves it. He's happy when family's around. Love it. But yeah, it's just that little sort of like that, just that at that age where it's like, I don't want to be the center of attention, but you see like the little smile in the corner, but he's looking down.
Yeah.
He's such a great kid. Yeah, it was a wonderful time. And then yesterday, when we drove back, we took the long way home and passed through Prince Edward County and stopped at the Sandbanks Winery and had a little lunch by the water in oh darn the little town Wellington on the way back. And then had just a beautiful, nice, quiet evening at home for yesterday. So good for the soul. Good for the soul.
Understood. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a quick headline for you here. I think
Okay.
that's not it. Quick. You'll like this. This is from Vox. It's an updated story, July 12th, 2023. I'll just put this headline here for you. Beavers are heatwave heroes.
Hey.
Animals don't have AC, but they have beavers. Basically, it goes on to explain. There's just a smiling beaver picture here I got to show you, which I think, and this explains it. The stream with beavers. Stream impact on groundwater, infiltrating precipitation deep. It basically is great for vegetation.
Okay.
It prevents the spread of wildfires. We currently have 900 that are out of control in Canada right now.
Jeez.
And there's the smiling beaver right there.
Oh my word.
Right.
And look at the hands too.
Yeah. Not really smiling, but the photo looks like he's just celebrating something. Yeah.
Just preening. Look at me. I'm fabulous. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
If I actually were an animal, that would be me.
Yeah. I figured as much.
Oh my word. I love it. Oh, gee, whoever got that picture. Wow. That
Jillian Cooper. Credit to Jillian Cooper from Getty Images. It's a beaver in the Canadian Rocky Mountains.
Yeah. Wasn't there that picture? I can't remember what it was. Was a bear, was it? There was a camera that was recording, and there was like bear, and he was like he was just, they had like 50 pictures, and bear was like he was posing or something. It was right. And then there was another one, I think that won a National Geographic award. I think it was a polar bear that looked like it was like just like hey friend or something like that. Looking at it was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that hey friend is his way of saying, hey friend, you're my next meal.
Num.
For a polar bear, yeah.
The kid Jen goes, I want to give that beaver a little scritch. Indeed. Good morning to all the kits who have joined us. Let's see who we have. Kit Ellen, Kit Saucy, Kit Grappling, Kit Linda M, Kit the Daily Beaver. Hello. Kit, let's see, Toronto D. Hey, I dare you to ask me how my mental health is doing. How's your mental health, Toronto D? I'll take that dare. Good morning, Kit Mohan. Good morning. Let's see, who else do we have here? Did I get everyone? I think I have. Oh, Kit Kat, Tabby G. There you go. And Kit Ellen. And Kit Elaine. Lovely to see you all this morning. It's been an interesting few days. First of all, thank you for tuning in yesterday to our pre-record with Scott McGregor. I read the comments in the chat yesterday when I got home. So thanks for tuning in and watching. And thank you, Scott, also for having agreed to come on. We talked on the show about financial matters, and today is the day that we kept on talking about in the show, where the consumer price index numbers will come out. Sometimes they come out during the show. They come out early, so I'll be checking for them. I haven't had a chance yet. But the expectation is that we will drop from 3.4% to 3% is what is being predicted. So that would put us at the top of the 2 to 3% range that for which they're aiming. A lot of people are starting to wonder now, however, if the Bank of Canada obsession, it is kind of their mandate, but with like the sort of like 2% or getting closer to 2 number, might mean a lot more pain for not enough gain. So that's sort of the debate going on, especially since like we keep on saying, right, when there's a rate hike, it takes 2 years to go through the system. And we have Canada as the nation in the developed world that has raised its interest rate highest and fastest than anywhere else. So if the pendulum swings way the way this way somewhere along the way, there's going to have to be some correction that's pretty up there to bring it back. But the swings will not be fun. So these latest increases are going to take another 2 years to work their way through the system right now, and inflation might be at 3 now. And the things that are still high, housing, what the Bank of Canada is doing is actually contributing to housing inflation. So they're not going to help with that if they keep doing that. And on the other side, food, well, I mean, Russia just pulled out of the Black Sea export deal, which means about 37 million tons of wheat are probably going to be taken off the market if Ukraine can't find another way to get it out just as fast. So that means there goes your price of cereal and pasta and everything bread again. The Bank of Canada can't do anything for that. So people are starting to wonder now, keeping on raising interest rates, is that really good, considering that the things that are still relatively high in inflation are things that raising the interest rate can't help? The Bank of Canada is saying that there is still too much job growth, which creates demand. But the other issue is that with our immigration rates, there's an intrinsic increase in demand just by having more bodies. Our population is actually growing. Interest rates can't do anything for that either.
No.
So yeah, this is the time where some people are starting to wonder if the Bank of Canada is saying, well, this is what we always do, may not be the thing we should always be doing.
Well, I read a headline earlier today, and I can't find it right now. I don't know where it went. That it said, and I'm like, what? That doesn't make sense to me, because every story I've read over the last couple of months would be counter to that, and last year was a completely different thing altogether. It said Canada's quality of life has dropped to the lowest among the G7. I read this headline this morning, and I'm like, what? I don't know. I don't know who wrote that, or I didn't catch it quickly enough. It would just scrolled by, and I didn't click on it, unfortunately, because I was like, that doesn't even make sense to me. We've been ranked number 1 in the world for the last, 5 or 7 years? So how do we drop precipitously in 6 months?
Well, I mean, if we don't know the source or anything, I mean, it could be. Well, let's just put it this way. There's been a trend over the past few days to, if reality says one thing about this government, then there's a whole machine that engages to say the opposite, right? So we had the Bloomberg reports that Canada's firing on all cylinders, and we have the OECD thing that says that in terms of inflation, Canada is like among the lowest, right? And there are only 2 countries in the whole OECD that have like 2.2 or less. Everyone is like 2.9 and around and higher, and ours was at 3.4 when there were nations that have 36, right? And that's just the OECD. We're not talking, Central African Republic or Zimbabwe, right? We're, or Bangladesh or Colombia,
Yeah, I just
right?
it's just sounds bizarre to me.
So, um, and then we have, Prime Minister Trudeau goes to the Stampede and is in the Midway and is swarmed by thousands of people. And then there's a counter narrative that he's hiding out, sticking in the constituency and not showing his face in public. And barely 12 people came to see him. And then the latest one was his address at the 2023 North American Indigenous Games, where he spoke, and the clip is going around, and you see he's got thunderous applause on 10 different occasions from the angle of the camera, so much that you can't actually hear what he's saying. And then there was one spot, I guess, where there was some booze.
Yeah,
Allegedly, apparently before the Prime Minister was announced. Or as he was announced, but that part I don't know because I haven't seen the whole that whole section. But
yeah,
of course, at an Indigenous event, there are going to be booze for the crown. Hello, have you seen what we've done? Is anyone
it's kind
surprised?
Of a wedge issue, right?
Right? So, but the whole rush, the Prime Minister was booed. Now, if you listen to them side by side, or one after the other, and hear how loud the boos were, and that they only have one clip of boos, and then you listen to the other one with the 10 instances of rousing applause, I wonder which one is a little more accurate. Because really, like I said, there's no speech ever any prime minister is going to be giving in the next 100 years, because there's a lot of work to do. Yeah. That is not going to meet with some booze.
Especially when you consider the audience. Yeah. It's just the way it is. So I found it. I found it. The headline. Okay. I'll post it. I think they're just trying to spell doom and gloom, but it's. I'll put the headline on the screen here, and note who it's from.
Okay, Financial Post. Yeah.
Post states Canada's standard of living is falling behind the rest of the developed world. OECD predicts country will rank last in real GDP capita growth until 2060. That sounds awfully doom and gloom. Canada has a growth problem. Looks like solid economic recovery from the pandemic actually masks an underperformance in standard of living that is among the worst in advanced economies, says a new report by TD Economics. Economic growth does not necessarily equate to economic prosperity. Well, that's true. That is true, because people go, say, look at the stock market. Yeah, that doesn't equate. That's getting a few people rich.
Yes.
It doesn't equate to the general overall health of a nation. Population growth well above the rest. So this is. I'm going to put the link in the chat. I don't want to spend all time staring at this.
I assume just from that, without having read it all, that the basic theory underneath it is that if population growth is that fast and the country is not adjusted in order to accommodate that growth, so you're not building enough housing to accommodate that growth, you haven't pursued enough business to accommodate that growth, then yes, I mean, you're going to have more people, but more people are going to be unemployed. So the standard of living will go down. But that article also assumes that between now and 2060, which is like 37 years, we do exactly the same thing we're doing now.
Yeah, that's a pretty crazy forecast when you consider that there will be technologies that come and disrupt everything, right?
And people will change policies.
We'll take, for example, the technology we're using right now. 30 years ago, this was the stuff of science fiction.
Oh, yeah.
Literally the stuff of science fiction, as was this thing right here, the stuff of science fiction. But now it's very much a part of our lives. So new technologies will come in and disrupt everything. and change how we do things, and policies will change. I think it's just a doom and gloom to sell papers because it's a Financial Post, which is part of Post Media.
Mhm.
So,
But I mean,
just,
these long forecast reports always have to be read, because then what happens is that
oh
the
yes,
conservatives will take that and say, "Oh, we're heading down a cliff." And it's by 2060, assuming we don't make any changes to our spending priorities. We don't make right. We don't respond. We don't
yeah,
right.
we stay put,
Because,
we stay status
and
quo.
assuming that that happens for all the other countries in the OECD
Countries,
as
yeah,
well,
I know.
right? That somewhere in the next 27 years, they don't make a dumb decision, right? So,
It's some doom and gloom
it's
that I think is
it's no, but these articles are helpful because these
yes. Oh
things
yes, yes.
require 20, 30-year, 40-year planning in a world where we don't look like further than what's happening next day, next week, next quarter. Sometimes when you're talking about daily politics, the next nanosecond, right? So,
Yeah,
but they have to be understood. If you have your media literacy, your political literacy, when you're looking at a long-term report like that, the assumption is always that nothing changes, that everything remains constant for your own country and for all the others as well, and everything stays exactly the same.
yeah.
Yeah, not gonna happen. Um,
No, we'll just continue to adapt and move forward and change as as the flow of hockey, as the flow of play changes, you adapt your game.
right, exactly. So yeah. So I'll keep looking for the CPI data numbers to see if they come out during the show. But there's an interesting article here on CBC, uh, written with the title "Has the Bank of Canada Conquered Inflation?" It's complicated, so
Hmm.
that might be a good one here. So I'll pass it to Mr. Grizzly here in the private chat and put it up there for the kids. If you'd like to take a look at that, that might help. It might be some good reading there. Okay. Um, let's see. Let's
I
pick up.
think Linda's comment here that I just posted on the screen, if the Conservatives get into power with their priorities of making rich people richer, I'm sure that prediction will come true.
Well, remember, their PP's financial plan is pretty much Liz Truss's.
Yes,
Now we're in a better state than the UK
still.
was, so you could probably get away with that here. It'll still do damage, but it probably won't send the stock market crashing. But that was his economic plan.
Mhm.
Right? More tax cuts for those who don't particularly need it at the moment, and cuts to services, austerity for the rest of us, and we know that conservatives are not good with money, right? Moroni government wasn't particularly good with money. The Harper government wasn't particularly good with money. Fair enough. They had the 2008 crash, but I remember, I believe it was a couple months before the crash happened, and you got to realize that the government and Jim Flaherty at the day, they get when there are things that happen like 3 and 6 months ahead of time, they kind of let you know where things were going. So remember, they had the fixed election date law, and we had a sort of surprise election in September, right? Well, that's because they had numbers in July and June that let them know what was coming at the end of September or the beginning of October. And that's when the thing hit, right? And remember that I think Mr. Flaherty went into the House of Commons and delivered a budget that said there was a speech from the throne or something that said that pretty much the only thing that we had to do was cut the per vote subsidy to parties, and there was another little thingy, and everything would be fine. And then I believe Mr. Flaherty mispredicted, the deficits by like $30 billion, if not more. Um, it wasn't a stellar time, right, in terms of economic performance, right? They're and they racked up a lot of debt. Now they look at the current government and they say they racked up a lot of debt. Well, of course, we had a global pandemic. And we also made a strategic decision to do some borrowing when interest rates were really low in order to do things that were long term, which is wise. So, because we all have a certain lifespan to take care of bills, but a country can spread something over 100 years or whatnot. That's it has time to ride it out. So it's not like your kitchen table budgeting. The country's different, right? So they're not good with money. At least maybe there was a time when they were, way over 50 years ago or something. But in my lifetime, there's been the Mulroney government and there's been the Harper government, and both of them, without a global pandemic, racked up more debt than any other. So when conservatives speak finance and what's good for the budget and what's I take a little pass at the salt lick. They have not, at least if you're an evidence-based person, I have seen no evidence that they are better with money than the Liberals or the New Democrats. And with the New Democrats, everybody points to Bob Rae, and we all know what happened back then.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, he was dealt a really crappy hand, and turns out that time has proven that what Bob Rae did, even though the result was bad, it prevented it from being way worse. And a lot of the things that Bob Rae did are things that we did during the COVID pandemic, right? The work sharing and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're now standard operating procedure things when things go bad. So he was ahead of his time, turns out. So I don't see where the evidence is that the Conservatives are any better with money or for the economy or at managing the public purse than the other two parties. There's a mythology behind it. There's an assumption because the Conservatives, and that's where all the bankers and the stuffy people go. But when there was a time where the serious people, come on, this party's just not serious.
No, it's.
I would not give them my nephew's piggy bank to manage. Not this version of the party. Come on. Gee, you see the meltdown this weekend over the Governor General? $71,000 for limos while they were in Iceland. Can't believe a limo service costs $1,000 an hour. Really? You can't? For a
Have you ever been to Iceland?
Well, for a dignitary who's at the king,
head of state,
the Governor General. When the king's not there, the king is the Governor General.
Yeah. No, they're just going to rage farm whatever they can.
But right, and then she's there for 4 days, 69 hours. Oh, so do you think the car service that brings her there then goes, okay, I've dropped you off. You're the king of Canada. We're just going to go pick up a couple of other fares and we'll come back. Who knows what could happen to the car in the meantime? The car stays there.
Yeah, it's just hired for the entire time. Yeah. It's like a cab with the meter running.
The entire time.
For security reasons.
There's a cost to doing the job. This is what it costs. And you're pissed off. They're pissed off about it because the money was spent on an Indigenous woman. And how do I know this? Because just last week we talked about PP spending reports.
Yeah. That's where I was going.
And nobody said a word.
Nothing. He lives in a mansion of 35 rooms or 19 rooms? I don't know how big it is. It's bigger than anything that I'll ever live in, and spend $6,000 a month, or was it $7,000? I can't remember. $6,000 was the hotel bill, and $7,000 was the water bill.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's a cost to doing the job. If you are going to complain about the cost of doing the job,
complain about all of it.
You took the Challenger to go to the ASEAN summit in Asia. Oh, All that carbon. Oh, ground that jet. Oh my God, we need to renovate 24 Sussex. Look at that. The Prime Minister's going to make it a palace for himself.
It's the NCC that owns it.
But
they rely on people's ignorance to rage from.
Again, they're treating you like you're stupid.
Mm-hmm.
They're literally insulting your intelligence. There's a cost to doing the job. You are not a governor general. You are not a head of state on a dollar store budget. It's just not going to happen.
Doesn't work.
Tether yourself to reality.
No. They won't do that.
So what's the issue? It's not the cost. It's not the limo service. It's who the money's being spent on. It's who's the money's being spent on.
That's really what it boils down to, because if it was a white Christian wasp, if it was a wasp, a male wasp, a white Anglo-Saxon
Rain Addison,
person.
David Johnson, we've had it in our lifetimes.
Mm-hmm. No mention.
Was there any article about them doing anything anywhere else? This word came back and said, "Oh my God, we spent that on them," like there was this weekend.
No, David Johnson remembers Justin Trudeau's ski buddy, because they went skiing when Justin was 12, so they're ski buddies now.
Yes. So I mean,
don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, right?
Yeah. Yep. So so we had a little casual racism and misogyny over the weekend, and then oh boy.
I didn't look at the news at all this weekend, by the way. I was like, I unplugged from it. I did. I really needed to. That was the whole point of a getaway, right?
Yep. And then, just where is it? Oh my God, I wish I had the green shirt guy.
Oh, yeah. I sent you that clip.
You sent me the clip. Okay, so I'm going to...
Yeah.
Then
that was the one thing I saw. I sent you the clip.
Okay.
And it was him saying, yeah.
All right. So we're going to put this up because... as I keep on saying, I keep on borrowing that line from the Daily Beans, like the mafia, but without the loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
So, green shirt guy goes, has his picture taken. Then they all go, "Oh no, I didn't read the t-shirt. We all know I support the L2S LGBTQI plus community." By putting out pamphlets that Max Bernier marked at Pride, so you shouldn't vote at him, and by posing with straight white pride guy. Okay. So yeah.
I have the clip here.
With support, with support like that, right? Right, with support like that, who needs someone holding your head underwater? And then it was like, oh, but, and then of course, no journalist, of course, said, well, if you didn't read the t-shirt. Well, now that you know what the t-shirt means, what does straight pride mean to you when you hear that? What do you think that t-shirt means? And you say you don't agree with the message of that t-shirt. So what to you was the message of that t-shirt, and why specifically do you not associate yourself with it? Ask them the second question, right? Because the first question is on script, but the second question is to see whether or not they fall apart. Because we know a lot of them are really not good when they get off script. When PP gets off script, he starts attacking the journalists and call them CBC hacks or whatnot. And
what's their next play? I categorically deny reading that shirt.
Yes, and then Danielle Smith always does the look.
Yeah,
you don't understand. And I guess whenever she says look, first of all, she's going to lie. Number two, she says, like, I am really freaking annoyed with this question. So I already answered that question. Right, when she does that little snitty thing that she does.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Should we go to the clip?
Yes, let's. And please, kids, please, pay close attention to this man's hands while he's talking.
How do you feel about that? They're saying they don't agree with your shirt and they're caving into media's pressure.
Wow, to be honest with you, like Danielle Smith, I had very, very, very high hopes for her. Like, she had passed the Alberta Sovereignty Act, which is, put the Alberta First Act, which I...
somebody pointed this out to me, so I'm going to make the comment before he continues. He's all about straight pride, straight person, blah, 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 blah. They said he has multiple piercings in both ears. And
I'm going to say it.
A little bit of a lilt in his voice. Did you notice?
He opens his mouth and rainbows fall out.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's roll.
I'm very proud of. I come from BC, but Alberta is now my home, right? And, you know, I'm pretty sad that she caved within 24 hours of taking a picture with me, and she could deny this picture all that she wants. She read my shirt. There was not an entourage of people there. There was me, my girlfriend, and like 2 other people standing there when she took the picture with me. So, you know, I'm a little disappointed in her. As for Pierre, I had high hopes for this guy. I thought he was truly great. I thought he was going to bring Canada back again. I thought he was our Donald Trump of Canada, but it turns out, you know what? He's just another leftist wearing a right side suit. So as far as Pierre goes, man, he lost my vote. Danielle, she lost my vote too. So, you know, it's time for reform. It's time to change our governments, and it's time for the people to stand up and unite. All races, all colors, all genders. We all come from Earth. We're all the same people.
Please, everybody, just focus on. If I may ask one last question, what is so offensive about your shirt?
Apparently because I'm straight and I happen to be a white person that was born this way to take a picture.
Okay. I just realized that I made a mistake. I thought he said my wife. He said my girlfriend.
No.
So that was what I was saying. Oh, well, where's that wedding band then? Now, I'm not saying, and I also noticed he said all genders.
Yeah.
So I am wondering, is it possible that this guy is actually rainbow and put that shirt on because he knew who he was dealing with and that they would definitely take a picture with him. And now now I can't trust him.
Do you think he's like a double agent?
The strategic Beaver, it's something I might have considered doing. Right? Because our only really good chance of success here is if we're doing wedge politics. We need for moderate conservatives to feel they can't be trusted because they're getting way too close to the loony right, but we need to make the loony right think that they can't be trusted because they'll never go all the way. See, with these types, it's almost Donald Trump again, right? It's like 100% loyalty, but it doesn't go the other way around. So if you don't always pick the most, like if you don't take any opportunity to say that gays and trans people are trash, if you sort of moderate your message in any way, shape, or form, then you're not a true believer. You're a leftist. You call them leftists.
Yeah.
Pierre Poliver and Daniel Smith,
hilarious.
you refer to them as leftists.
That's hilarious. I know. I'm like,
I'm just saying, could it be? Could this be one huge rope-a-dope?
the possibility is there, right?
We are a creative people. And this is not
I got
first
that
rodeo
vibe.
with these people.
Yeah, I just got that vibe.
So maybe.
Who knows?
Maybe.
Who knows?
Hey, I know plenty of straight people who don't have a Mr. Grizzly voice. But just I don't know. My gaydar is going off. My gaydar is going off. That's all I'm saying. And interesting thing is that one of the usual suspects when it comes to these things, came out and made a really interesting spectacle of herself the other day. I like to refer to her as not RuPaul. Rupa.
Right. Took me a minute.
Yeah.
I'm only on my second cup of coffee, so.
Okay. She started doing this because there's these false, because now it's all this false equivalency stuff, right? So if a straight pride shirt means that I'm homophobic, then a rainbow must mean that you're heterophobic, right? All these types of logic things here.
Heterophobic isn't a
So
thing.
Rupa started. I'm not sure if I can get these big enough. Unfortunately, I wanted to show you, but it's the text that's getting bigger and not the actual photo. So, but here we go. We know exercising is a far-right obsession, and this guy Colby looks fit, so clearly he exercises. Note, he's wearing a Nike t-shirt, and that Nike slogan is "Just do it." Do what exactly? Terrifying. Will the Conservative Party remain silent on this latest controversy? And it's a picture of a guy with a Nike shirt pointing like this. Also note, Pierre Poilievre is wearing Ray-Bans. You know who likes Ray-Bans? This guy. Connect the dots. And it's a picture of Putin wearing Ray-Bans. And then your eagle, somebody writes to her, if you look really, really closely, Nike really says Nazi. I'm scared. Your eagle eyes don't miss a thing. You looked closely and it's almost like staring at the devil, she/her, pure evil. And then someone writes, Pierre Poilievre was born in 1979. He's 44 years old. You know who else was 44 years old before? Hitler. In Nazi symbolism, the 4 stands for D and 44 stands for division Dillerwanker. Is it just a coincidence that Pierre Poilievre is turning 44 this year? Asking the tough questions in Canadian journalism.
Jesus, Rupa.
She's riding this horse
Oh, yeah.
so hard. And which makes me wonder, what if green shirts guy, rather than saying straight pride, said white pride? Rupa. Not RuPaul. Would you have tweeted the exact same thing? Would you have betrayed your own race for money and clicks? Not RuPaul. And then on I believe the same damn day, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, the same damn day. She puts this one up. And this is the when I'm saying if you look at one tweet at a time, but if you look at the body of work over time, it's a tweet of Kamala Harris saying something with a video. Kamala is half Indian, from my neck of the woods in South India. She also has a strong Canadian connection, having gone to high school here. I would like to apologize on behalf of my people. So clearly she has some pride in her people because she claims to speak for them, even though they didn't ask her to, and Kamala's way more accomplished, and they're likely thinking, and you are? So
she hates herself, doesn't she?
So yeah. So if a straight pride guy was wearing a white pride guy, would you be gleefully indulging in making fun of the whole Holocaust thing? And the first two were bad enough, but that's like somebody just fed her Hitler and Nazi, and she ran with it. Nothing but pity.
It's pathetic.
This is what their life is. I just read these tweets because, and all I hear is her standing on a street, just yelling to anyone who will hear, "What you must understand about me is that I'm a deeply unhappy person."
Basically.
And clearly, nobody loves her enough to get her the help she needs, and clearly, there are way too many people who are happy to exploit her. She's being used.
Well, somebody's making money somewhere.
She's being used. And I will say it again, and I will say it again, and I will say it again. It's a Brittany Packard quote that I paraphrase all the time. doesn't matter how good a girl you are. White daddy is never going to accept you. You are never going to be one of them, no matter how slavishly you
Yep.
commit yourself to the cause. When you are saved for last, it will not save you from what the white patriarchy has in store for you, Rupa.
Well,
It just will not.
I get that, she's trying to save herself, right? But guess what? It's like Jewish people who helped the Nazis during the war. They saved those ones for last, right? They're going to throw you all under the bus. This is what these people do. And yeah, these people who look like me.
We see it with the Muslim thing.
Yeah.
We got that Muslim lady with the PhD, engineer PhD, like this, putting it like this, and everybody's like really rallying to her because she writes well. But we got this whole leave our kids alone. They're not all your kids.
Well,
They're not all your kids. What about all the parents in the school who are perfectly happy with their kids to be taught what they need to do, need to know to go into the world prepared when it comes to sex and sexuality in an age-appropriate manner, of course? What about all of them? What about all of them? Your choices are you go to the public school system or you create your own private school. Those are your choices. You don't get any others. And it's like, we've been teaching sex ed for what, 30, 40 years now?
more than that.
This is not new. This is not new. And she's like, I wish I could find the one, but there's one where it's sort of like, we want to get help for our LGBTQ children like this, but we also want parents to be left alone to raise their parents as they see fit. Okay, getting help for LGBT children sounds very much like conversion therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And allow parents to raise their children as they see fit. Again, is that not a two-way street for you? And then she says, like, we are resolute. We'll never back down. Well, there are more of us than there are of you, and however resolute you think you are, boo-boo kitty,
We go deeper.
you're not our first rodeo.
No.
Once again, we do not consent. We will not accommodate you. You do not get to change Canada to reflect hateful and exclusionary values. We are an inclusive country. That's our whole shtick.
Well,
And
and they're always trying to.
And I said, I want to make this clear because people might see this. And I said, your solution is to not put your hands all over Canada and make it more hateful. But it might be to find some place to live that corresponds to your values. As somebody said, telling someone to go back where they came from is racist. I didn't say go back to where you came from. This person may have been born here for all I know. But clearly, they are unhappy here.
Mm-hmm.
And our Canadian Constitution does allow people to emigrate. And there are many nations in the world that have national values that are closer to the ones she espouses. Maybe she would be happier somewhere else. Not go back to where you come from. Maybe be happier somewhere else. Because there's about 70% of us, maybe more, who really like it here. If you can't handle inclusiveness and tolerance and openness, we are friendly people. We will help you pack.
Yeah, we'll load the truck.
And there'll be no
acrimony. In the ass on the way
There'll be no acrimony. We will wish you well and sincerely mean it. We want you to be happy. But if you can't be happy here, don't try to make the rest of us unhappy. Just so you can be. Find a place on the globe where you can be happy.
There's a spot somewhere for everybody, right?
Right. If this is not it for you, that's okay. But come on.
Mhm.
Come on. Treating them, talking about them like they're all your kids. Talking about letting parents raise their kids as they see fit without acknowledging that there are more parents who see it fit to have their kids raised in a manner where they're going to go out into the world realizing everybody that is in the world and already prepared for it. So they're not the person at 35 that at the office says something weird because they were raised with it and it's normal. When it comes to sex ed, right? We all know kids are watching porn on internet almost like sometimes by they're 10 or 11.
Mhm.
Who knows what they're doing? You don't know when you're not with them all the time. And you know they do not have the maturity to negotiate everything.
No, they don't. They don't have the lived experience. They don't have the knowledge base. They just, that needs to be
Right? The earlier
talked
you
about.
introduce kids to notions of consent and stuff like that these days, the better it is going to be to everyone, for everyone. The earlier that you introduce kids to the knowledge that there are different kinds of people in the world and you have to be nice to all of them, the easier it's going to be. Because that's the way we're going. You're
Mhm.
not setting up your kids for success. If you don't teach them about positive body image, like this, if you cutting, anorexia, if you don't teach them about finding your self-worth from within rather than the look of somebody's eyes, where do you think they might be go looking for love and affection? Maybe the wrong places. If you don't tell them about protection,
Mhm.
if kids are being sexually active younger, what happens? If they come home with a disease and nobody knows because you don't think your kids are sexually active yet and they don't go get tested for 3 or 4 years. They don't know. What happens? You're not setting them up for life. What happens if you kick them out of your home? All these people
Mhm.
that are anti-groomer, you kick them out of their home because they're gay. And then they go on the street and they get picked up and exploited or
And that
trafficked.
happens all the
You're
damn time.
setting them up to be groomed for real.
Mhm.
You are teaching your children that they are not safe with you. And if they are not safe with you, they are going to go to seek to be safe somewhere else. And where they go seek it, at the age that they are, and their ability to negotiate, their ability to know what's right and wrong, and how worldly they are, you are setting them up as sitting ducks. You are these. I'm not here to tell you how to raise your kids. But as someone who grew up in a foster home without a lot of this stuff, who's
Mhm.
had a lot of life experiences, you do not want the life I had before the age of 25 for your children. You do not
Yeah.
want it. You are
And
misguided.
the
Respectfully, you are misguided.
but they don't want to have that type of an intellectual conversation, sir. They don't. They just want to scream their headlines or their sound bites or their nanosecond wins at you and feel like, well, a pigeon. They playing chess with a pigeon, knock over all the pieces, strut around, shit all over the board, and strut around like they've won something. They don't want to have an intellectual conversation about this because it would defeat their whole ideology. And we can't have that now, can we?
Yeah. Kids are not property. They're individual
Yeah.
human beings. They are going to develop the way they are going to develop. The only question is how much damage are you going to do along the way? You got one job. Love your kids
Hmm.
unconditionally. Make them feel that whoever it is they discover they are, they know they're going to be loved. And our public schools, which are paid for by all of us to serve all of us, have adopted that position that here at school, no matter who you discover you are, you will be loved and accepted and welcome. This should not be a problem because it applies to your kids too. It applies to your kids too. Wearing a hijab at school.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to pray. Teaching about Islam in a world religions class.
Well, so this
It applies to you too.
Bahira Abdul Salam, PhD, professional
That's the lady
engineer.
I'm speaking of.
Yeah, I got her tweet here. I'm going to put it on the screen for everybody to see, and I'll read it out. I'm going to have it on the screen for a couple seconds, then I'll read it out to you. The residential school system was intended to remove children from the influence of their homes, families, traditions, and cultures. That is true. The ideology of gender identity and sex education that is rooted from LGBTQ ideology in Ontario should be a choice.
That is false.
That is false. This should not be an obligation on all children with no opt-out option. Many families are extremely worried when they see it as a danger on their children. They find it as pushing many children away from their own identity, traditions, culture, and consequently removing them away from their families, which is not acceptable and will result in a huge psychological damage and mental health problems on children and their families. Let's learn the lesson and ensure that Canada will no longer remove any child from their roots. Stop messing up with our children.
PhD. She's another Leslyn Lewis.
Yeah.
She's the Muslim Leslyn Lewis.
She is.
Except
because it's nonsense.
Except
what
she writes
just wrote.
way more eloquently.
Yes.
All right.
But she still wrote nonsense.
It's nonsense, but that's nonsense that sounds
intelligent. Yes. It's like Jordan Peterson is the dumb guy, smart guy.
Yeah, but this is very dangerous. Very dangerous. This is insidious rhetoric.
It is. It is. You know, and I get traded because it's like, okay, I feel the need to speak up, but I can't be the one speaking up, right?
Oh yeah, you can. This is so wrong. You don't need to be a member of the community to speak up. This is so
okay.
And Miss Abdul Salam, have you forgotten that 20 years ago? Because I keep on trying to remind people that these same people to whom you're cozying up to, the same people that proposed a barbaric cultural practices line and had a problem with an ECAB and wanted the first moment of being a Canadian citizen for certain people would be to have to do something that would offend their religion, like having to show their face in public.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Those same people who 20 years ago after 9/11 tried to recruit us gays among everyone else to hate you people by showing us images of ISIS allegedly throwing gay people off buildings,
Mm-hmm.
who wanted us to trample all your rights, and we told them to go fuck themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because we know what discrimination is like, and we don't want anybody everywhere ever
to feel it. The same thing. Yeah.
Well, fuck you too.
Yeah. Well,
Thanks for having our backs like we had yours.
It's
the same people 20 years ago wanted our help to exterminate you.
Now want your help to exterminate.
They didn't get it, and now want your help to exterminate us. And you are lying on your back and showing your belly, hoping for scritches.
It's really disturbing. Well, it's
unbelievable.
Dean from Winnipeg. Just so I'm clear, the same group that was outraged when conservatives wanted to rip a religious symbol right off their heads are now joining conservatives' homophobia campaign under the guise of religious freedom.
Mm-hmm. And let's remember that the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, Pierre Poilievre, said that he was not going to intervene whatsoever on those cases in Quebec.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the Prime Minister has said that if it gets to the Supreme Court, well, then of course he's going to have to do something.
Yes.
So the party that you're helping right now doesn't believe that in one province, so I'm sure that would apply to all provinces, that there are certain jobs you're not entitled to so long as you keep on wearing that, I guess they would call it a rag on your head.
Yes.
They're not nice people and they don't like you. They assume that you are inherently hateful and bigoted. And they've gone fishing and you've taken the bait, you are living down to their expectations of you by behaving this way. And again, Madame, you have my pity. You have my pity.
I'm completely exasperated by it.
And, and you have some people that say, turn around and say, I hope you don't have gay kids. And I hear that, and it's like that for the kids, I hope they don't have gay kids because it'd be bad. But for sake of karma, it's like I hope that every single one of your children turns out fucking rainbow. Every single one of them.
And I understand the place you're coming from. I do. I understand it. It's like, well, if that's how you're going to be. See, here's the thing. Karma, she can be real nasty sometimes. She's like Mother Earth. When she gets pissed off, she gonna let you know it, and there's nothing you can do about it. So, there but for the grace of whatever deity you wish to worship, go I.
How do you...
I don't know.
How do you not see this?
They refuse to.
I mean, I understand no one more blind than one who will not see.
Mm.
Right, but... Jen makes me stabby. Oh man. Jeez.
Yeah.
I see some comments in the chat about yesterday, because I was on Blackballed, and similar, not this topic, but rainbow related topics came on, and it seems that they liked the way I handled myself. So thank you. But please, if you haven't seen it, go take a look at it, because it's much more animated conversation than this one, with a lot more back and forth. So it's like, whoa, there's lots. It was fun though. It was fun. I have to say, I really enjoyed it. But it was like, we pace ourselves here.
Well, I was heading home last night. I went over to a friend's for dinner, and I was heading home, and I just popped out. I get the notification on YouTube you guys were on, and so last week I was intended to record a couple of ASMR shows to broadcast while I was supposed to be in Newfoundland, and then I didn't end up doing it because I had to cancel my trip. So I thought I was going to go live last night, but I got home, I sat down on the couch. It was 9:25, and I'm like, I don't have it in me. I have no gas left in the tank.
I know that feeling.
I went to bed at 9:30, so apologies if anybody was expecting a show last night. I'll have something for next Monday, of course, but I might do a midweek show just to try and make up for it, because I feel bad when I don't. I try and offer this as a mental health break service for folks who could use it, and I needed a mental health break. It happens. Only human. Only human.
You're allowed to be. You are allowed,
so.
My child, you are allowed to commit the cardinal sin of being human.
Indeed. Thank you, Pope Francis.
The Church of Beaver. You are absolved.
I'll have to check that Blackballed out once we get off. I've got a 10 o'clock appointment, and then I'm going to see my folks at 2 to help them out with some stuff. So,
say big hello.
We'll do. I'm going to put a link in the chat here too. This is a column written 10 years ago, but it's interesting if anybody wants to read it. It's kind of fascinating, but I haven't had a chance to read it fully yet. But it talks about conservative parties' apartheid-friendly roots, which that may or may not be the case. I haven't read the story yet. And I may have read it when it came out 10 years ago. But what I find interesting about that statement is, and again, I haven't read the article yet, okay, and I will read it very soon. Who was written by? Murray Dobbin. Anyway, here's why I find that statement a little strange. Conservative parties' apartheid-friendly roots, because apartheid was brought down and started by Joe Clark. it was Joe Clark who actively worked and got all these countries to sign up. We're going to embargo and we're going to block trade and everything. And it really picked up steam once the U.S. finally got on board towards the end of it. And, yeah, and then took the crown as, look what we've done. It's like you did it in 2 wars, man, and you were barely in either one. But look, we don't have an inferiority complex. We know who did it here in Canada. We know who started it. We know who did it. We know who followed through on it. We also know that Joe Clark was the probably the happiest person on earth the day that Nelson Mandela received his Canadian citizenship, because it was like, this was, that was it's a legacy thing from Joe Clark that he did that. And he doesn't get the global credit he deserves for it, but it was he who brought that out. So, and again, Mulroney really pushed it through. So it's kind of like, I got to read the story to understand that fully, why that statement is made, because maybe 100 years ago that would have been the case, but certainly wasn't 40 years ago. Maybe it came back around 20 years. I don't know. I'm confused right now is what it boils down to. I know that was a little off topic, but
it's fine. A little palate cleanser.
Okay, please.
In the meantime, palate cleanser. I think I don't know. Maybe it was just the whole leave our kids alone thing, or, like this only all parents are like me thing going around. So I might have had a bit of a bitchy streak going on. But here we go. You can put that out there. It's somebody put a photo of Anna with that look that she looks like she wants to stab. Like, because that's the other thing that was going on this weekend, is like, why is Anna at everything? Like literally everything. Like, why is she even in meetings with him? And while I'm wondering that, I'm hoping that things for which she does not have security clearance are not being discussed at those meetings at which she's present. But she appears to be everywhere. And then there's another photo of her with some guy who looks like he could be from the underworld, with his arm around her, giving a sign. I do not know the origins of that like this, but Anna is being talked a lot about lately. So someone took unflattering photos of both Anna and PP. PP looking very tired with his new makeover, and Anna. And somebody said, "Fellow Canadians, tell me how you would feel waking up next to one of these." Now, while most people would have went on the looks thing, I kind of zigged instead of zagged. It was like, first I'd wonder if I'd been drugged, because that shit would never happen of my own free will. And then I'd check to see whether I still had both my kidneys, because with these people, Yeah. Because, it probably would not have been for a threesome if I woke up.
Well, one of the
Probably
back and forths I saw this morning when I was online checking things out, getting ready to do this program, was the amount of people saying, we really shouldn't be picking on Anna. And I'm like, I hear what you're saying, and I don't necessarily disagree with it, but I can't fully agree with it either, because of the hateful rhetoric and the false sense that she's, basically accused the PM of being a pedophile, right?
My rule is court of law. You opened the door, counselor.
Yes. Well, that's the thing. She opened the door. And the flip side of that coin is the amount of criticism that Sophie Gregoire Trudeau gets from the conservative base, if you will, and she participates in none of those things. None of them. She doesn't seek the spotlight. She occasionally will accompany the PM to a state thing, like a funeral or a coronation or a wedding, or, which is to be expected, because,
Sophie appears to have her own thing.
Yeah, she does. And she's staying out of politics because she doesn't want any part of it. And
so did Lorene. She had
Lorene.
her own thing.
Yeah, I've met Lorene.
And so did Eileen.
Yeah.
And so did Mila.
They all stayed out of the political side and did what they could to positively influence society with the position that is foisted upon them, simply due to the position that their spouse has been elevated to.
Yeah, it's almost like she's first ladying it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and this is kind of funny with Jen's comment here, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah, they've been
That was
they've
a
been hiding for her
terrible
since we saw
PR
them.
move. Terrible PR move. Like, ooh, Sophie, I understood what you were trying to do, but
Yeah.
it's not your place to do it. I again appreciate what you were trying to do, but you need to, on a day like that, you need to stand in the background, quietly supporting, and that's it. Did something fall down? I just heard a
I didn't
thump.
say anything.
I just heard a thump.
And then there was these two. Where I've been, I had a lot of thoughts during some downtime over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
One, can't help but wonder if far-right men on the down low who believe the state should report trans kids to their parents also believe public health should inform their wives of kids of their own personal and private information, like, say, when they come in for STI or STD testing.
That's a question that's not been posed before, and I think that that, sir, is what we call a tape measure home run.
Thank you. And then somebody asked, what happens if Trump dies before he stands trial? Anyone know? We throw the biggest party ever because that rules him out as a future POTUS, and he probably goes to hell.
There's a hell,
I had a bit of an edge this weekend.
if there's a hell, he's on the Concord to it, right?
Yeah, I don't know why that. I don't know where those came from actually over the course of the weekend, because I was surrounded by love.
And just, every
and
now and
Wimbledon.
then feeling particularly quippy, and you got to get those out. I get it. I understand.
Oh man. Okay. All right. Still looking to see if the inflation numbers are there. No, not yet. Okay. Different little tidbits of news. It seems that in Australia,
Mm-hmm.
there will no longer be a 2026 Commonwealth Games. The Premier of the state of Victoria, Daniel Andrews, pulled the plug. Apparently costs had tripled, and it was going to be about $6 to $7 billion, and he just basically said $6 to $7 billion for a 12-day sporting event.
Too
Not
much.
happening.
Yeah.
So not sure if another country is going to pick up the hosting with facilities already in place. But yeah, it's just not happening. So there you go. In Canada, however, currently in Halifax, the 2023 North American Indigenous Games have started. There are good teams from all across the continent. It's a whole festival of not only sport but also culture and celebration. There are over 5,000 teenage athletes that are in town for the event, and makes it the largest multi-sporting event ever held in Atlantic Canada. There'll be, I think, about 14 different sports, if I'm not mistaken, including archery, box, lacrosse, kayaking. And as we saw, or as we heard, the Prime Minister showed up to open the games and deliver an address, and seems to have been overall well received. I'm hoping that there is a version of the speech that is clean somewhere on YouTube that I can check out and listen to it, because I really want to hear what it is he said to have generated that response. So I will be looking for that. Let's see. Good luck to all the competitors. And Canada is also competing right now at the World Aquatics Championships. It's mostly diving, maybe a little water polo that has started. I didn't check any results from yesterday, but over the first few days, some really good performances. No medals, but really close. 1/4 and 2/5, or 2/4 and a fifth, or something in diving. So close. But excellent performances, and of course, Devin is having fun again with Japanese food. You really need to follow his feed. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Go Canada, go! And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't speak about Wimbledon. The women's final. heartbreaker for Ons Jabeur. It was her third Grand Slam final, trying to become the first woman from
Africa,
the word's escaping me now.
the African continent.
African continent, and to be the first Arabic woman to win a Grand Slam.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
That wasn't her day, but it is going to happen. You don't get to 3 Grand Slam finals by fluke. Right?
No. And the thing I didn't know is that Vondrousova was coming back from injury, and she had already been in 2 herself. And I had completely missed the 2 that she was in for some reason. Jabeur started well. She was at 2-0, and she was at 1 point away from being 3-0 up 2 breaks. And then it's just like happens to me many times when I'm playing. It's like the game just left her. She couldn't hit a thing right all of a sudden. And then she had another point in the game where she recovered, and she had really taken the legs out of Vondrousova, making her run, and for some reason abandoned the strategy somewhere along the way. So she did win. Vondrousova, though, deserved the win. She played a very good match. So it was worth it. But that men's final.
I didn't see any of it.
Carlos Alcaraz, 20 years old, the number 1 player in the world right now, versus Djokovic, 36, greatest player ever, going for his 24th single, which would match him with Margaret Court. Djokovic blows past him 6-1 in the first set. Alcaraz, very undisciplined in the way that sometimes Shapovalov is, just swinging wild at stuff. And then second set, killer, goes into a tiebreak. Alcaraz gets it. Third set, Alcaraz takes a 6-1 off Djokovic. Amazing. Like this, the game for 4-1 lasted 27 minutes. It kept on going back to deuce, and Alcaraz broke it. And then Djokovic was like, okay, I'm not winning this set. So Alcaraz finished that one really quickly. Djokovic won the fourth set, and then Alcaraz was a machine in the fifth. It was like, no, I am winning this. And when he was serving for the set, you know how people often get nervous or they double fault? Perfect serving. He closed it like a champ. It was an impressive performance. Great tennis. Djokovic lost his temper at one point and actually took his tennis racket to the post. Really bad. Chipped it. Got fined £6,150. It's about 10,500 Canadian. But he won £1.2 million for making the finals.
I think he can afford it. So.
It's about 5% of his winnings. 0.5% of his winnings. So.
Well, and also consider all the endorsements that'll flood in after winning Wimbledon, right? I mean,
yeah. Well, that's Carlos Alcaraz, but Djokovic is the one that got fined for. It was really good, really good match. So my little Beaver heart is happy, and I still have the doubles ones to watch at home when they are. Because and of the doubles ones, the mixed doubles is my favorite because that's where usually the most exciting tennis happens, especially when the man is serving to the woman, and you see women returning serves that are coming really hard. It's just really kick-ass. It's so much fun. It's exciting.
Didn't see any of it, but my only sports thing that I want to discuss right now is Saturday afternoon. I didn't see the game. I just watched the highlights because I was out of town, right? It was Saturday afternoon's come from behind victory in the fourth quarter when Ottawa was losing.
Ooh.
Their fourth string rookie quarterback, because the starter's out on injury, won the game for them. Literally won the game. Forced overtime with 7 seconds left, ran it in for a touchdown. They went for a 2-point convert, got the 2-point convert with no time left on the clock, forced overtime, and then ran in the winning touchdown in overtime to get Ottawa's second win of the season. Absolutely thrilling win.
Yes.
Fourth string quarterback, right? This guy's not a starter. It was his first time he'd ever played in a professional match. He's from Kent State originally, and he put together one of the most spectacular comebacks in recent memory to secure Ottawa's second win. I can't show you the clips because it's TSN, and if I do, they'll take us down.
Okay.
But yeah, it was. Now they got T-shirts. They're printing the crumb back. I'll show you.
Love
this
that.
because I like this. This is the crumb back as he marched it in for the winning touchdown.
Ah, cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the score on this thing that I have, and it has the thing for the fourth quarters, and then it has the fifth one, and it's just so weird to see a fifth thing. And
The fifth quarter.
yeah, I love that. Okay, well, great for the Red Blacks. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It's it's one of those games that wish I could have been there for. But I was spending time with my lovely partner Bridget in Wakefield and just chilling out.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, I'm glad. He deserves that too. He did.
Everybody needs a break from reality.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the other big bit of news in sports is that arguably the best soccer player currently playing, Lionel Messi, signed a 2-year contract with the Inter Miami. So he will be playing with them. And it's a very big move for the club because they're currently ranked last in the MLS. So,
Well, he'll help bring them up and get the focus on them, get the spotlight on them. But I think one of the other things somebody pointed out says, I think this might be part of the reason why he signed the contract, even though it was good money. The Saudis offered him more money, and he was like, it's not about the money.
it's about
He's winding down his career. He's near the end of his career. And they showed a picture of him. Somebody snapped a photo of him doing groceries in the grocery store in Miami.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who the hell he is.
Right.
Miami is basically a Miami Dolphins football haven. Like the Dan Marino still can't walk the streets alone in Miami.
Right.
I mean, and he retired 30 years ago. So he gets to have a bit of anonymity, except on game day when everybody knows him. But outside of that, he gets to live a quiet life. And I think somebody pointed out that could be a very big part of his decision.
And plus, you get at the sort of end of your career, the person gets to bring people along.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably the only challenge he hasn't been faced. Let's take the team that's started at the bottom and see where we go, right? So,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, you need different challenges as you go along. So I can see that.
Oh yeah.
I can see that.
I've got 2 quick graphics for you here before we wind up. This one I thought was appropriate. Tavi G sent this to me. I saw it earlier and I meant to clip it and I missed it. But Tavi, thanks for sending this to me. This is from Colin Frizzle, at Colin Frizzle. This is what indoctrination looks like. And it's a Pierre Poliver tweet. This young guy came to my North Bay rally with an excellent suggestion. Help me become PM to make it happen. Sign up to vote. pierreforpm.ca/membership. Defund the CBC.
Yep.
They're 2 children.
Yep.
Okay. First off,
it's an old photo, first of all, so just
Yeah, it's a year old. It's a year old. But he's right. That's what indoctrination looks like, number one. And number two, you cannot vote for prime minister.
Yeah.
So not only is he indoctrinating them young, but he's doing it with lies.
Yeah, but there is no 5-year-old kid in Canada who naturally comes up with the thought, hey, let's defund the CBC.
They don't even know what that means.
And again, when I'm thinking the leave our kids alone, right? I hear it like this, and it really means all I hear is, right, grooming, indoctrinating, and sexualizing children is my job.
Yeah.
Right?
So to counter what we started the show off with that article from the Financial Times about how we're slipping and we will be at the bottom in no time soon. Here's a recent stat released. The most expensive places to live from World of Statistics. In the top 5, we've got Bermuda, Switzerland, Cayman Islands, Bahamas, and Iceland.
Again, Iceland.
Very expensive. Okay. And then let's roll down here outside of the top 10. In number 12, the United States of America. And in number 24, behind Finland and Austria and France, is Canada in number 24. But, our quality of life is slipping away rapidly, apparently. Why? Is it because we're not the most expensive place to live? I just don't know what that means anymore.
Live at Toronto this morning.
Yeah, sorry, you're giving us a feed there. James, my kid just told that kid to shut the fuck up. The defund the CBC kid. Have you lost audio, sir? Yeah, I can't hear you all of a sudden. It's gone silent. That happens. Okay, he's working on something here. He'll be back with us in just a second or two once he gets this straightened out. Some sort of sideways thing, which, it happens from time to time. I did have another cute one to show you. Um, and this, I think, is pretty apt. This is from Theo Mudakis. I don't know if you saw this cartoon or not. Tavi sent me this one again, and I did see this. We saw this one earlier, and I didn't have a chance to clip it because trying to pay attention to what I'm doing here, right? But I think this is a pretty apt political cartoon from Theo. I'm going to put this on the screen right now. And it's Skippy in a Speedo on a surfboard on a giant wave. The conservative plan for the economy, you're looking at it. Inflation, as it's about to crush a beaver in a lawn chair on the beach. For those of you who are listening.
Poor beaver.
I think he'd be all right.
Poor beaver. Oh, no. Sorry, my sound went out for a second there. I don't know exactly what happened. A couple of tiny little other tidbits here. Since we were talking about sports, Nike has cut ties completely with Hockey Canada. Canadian Tire had already left. Tim Hortons had left men's hockey, but is still supporting women's hockey. It seems that the main reason is that let's put it this way. Hockey Canada has a new CEO. I don't remember her name off the top of my head, but she's someone that's coming from Curling Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And Devin said initial assessment seemed to be that she seems to be the type of person who will be able to get the job done. But I'll have a chance to ask him more about it when we have more time. He was getting ready to go to Japan, so we didn't have time to really get into it. But just his hot take was that. But the news is not going to get better for Hockey Canada for a while because, the investigation results will come out and lawsuits will come out and war reports will come out and all that kind of stuff. So I think just Nike just doesn't want to be associated with that. And it's not like Nike doesn't have plenty of other options.
Yeah, no kidding.
In terms of sports organizations. So they've walked away, but hopefully the change in leadership will bring about the cultural and structural changes that are needed as well. So, but it seems that change is happening. Let's hope it is for the better there at Hockey Canada because, yeah,
it's a mess.
What a dump. There's just one. Do I want to say that?
Did you lose the?
Yeah, I will save that. I will save that.
Okay.
Mr. Grizzly, do we have a show?
We do indeed. We do. I have a thing coming up in a little bit, and then got to go see my parents later, and I got laundry and housework to do. So exciting holiday for me.
Right? All right. But here we go. There we go. Well, kids, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver podcast. We hope you love listening to us because we loved making this for you. Remember that sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. So let your peeps and poops know about us because democracy is something that you do. Again, totally self-serving, but this anti-gay and trans shit, it's got to stop. And the coverage of it has to get a whole lot better.
Mm-hmm.
So please, I appreciate your help. If you can write a letter and tell a few people to smarten up. Thank you. If you really like this podcast, you can find us on the Crier Media Network as well as all Beaver Grizzly friendly platforms. Stars and reviews are appreciated, so please be kind and generous. Thank you very much. We love to hear from you. Reach us on our Facebook at True North Eager Beaver, our Twitter feed at True Eager, or by email at truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. And you can subscribe to us via our Podpage site. That's podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver, all in lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words. And we will come directly to you when we have something fresh off the bandwidth. And thank you, kits. You have been keeping us on the charts, I think, for at least a solid 7 days now. So thanks. Really appreciate it. Why not also subscribe to our True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube channel? That helps us out big time. Make like Kit Elaine and remember to smash that button, everyone, before you leave. Quote. There you go. Right on time. Thank you. Thank you so much. We can't do this without your kind and generous support. So if you feel that we've done a particularly good show, if you're watching, you can scan the QR code on the top left to find our coffee/hot chocolate/Guinness/Caesar/Farm Boy gluten-free chocolate chip ice cream cookie fund. Very, very, very important.
That's a mouthful there. Farm
I know
Boy gluten-free chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah, sometimes it gets out. Sometimes it comes out really well, and sometimes I like start inverting all of them, and then I have to try to make sure I get each element in because I said cookie, but I did say chocolate chip. Oh, I forgot to say the ice cream. Oh yeah, you can get them at Farm Boy.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I understand.
If you're and if you're listening, you can let your fingers do the walking to ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, lowercase letters, all in one word, to make your donation. And that little squiggly you saw earlier that I forgot to mention was the one that will bring you to our pod page site. There it is again. Isn't it helpful to have a helpful bear? It really is. Thank you, sir.
I'm smarter than the average bear.
Hey, boo-boo, you want to see what's in the picnic basket? Don't look at the basket.
Don't look in the basket. What's in the basket?
Yogi just took a turn.
Oopsie.
Can
I do that?
From the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver saying, until next time, dear kids, it can be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourself. Mr. Grizzly, do you have some words of wisdom for us before we go?
Drink plenty of water today. Stay well hydrated because it's going to be a hot one out there. And because the sun, it may be overcast, so you're not thinking about it as much and not drinking as much water as you should. Just try and remember to drink water. Once you get thirsty, it means you're already on your way to dehydration. So don't get thirsty.
Yep, just drink as a matter of course. Oh, and by the way, good morning, Mateo. How are you, little man?
Hey, dude.
Mr. Grizzly, please roll them credits.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and The Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Well, good morning and hello, kids. and welcome to the. You pressed the wrong button. You played the intro.
Did I?
Yeah, we
I'm
have
so tired.
the techno music.
I didn't even
And
notice.
Welcome to the Daily Groundhog Day Show. I'm your host, Mr. Groundhog.
Well, when you started saying that, I'm like, what? Do I have something playing in the background here? It threw me off. I didn't even play the right outro. I'm sorry, dude. I'm tired. I'll try it this time. Let's try it again.
Who do you
are listening to a True North Eager Beaver media podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
You know, I did come to the realization that seemed to be awfully long. And then when you started doing that, I'm like, what the hell just happened? Yeah, it happens,
it
right?
seems that we've been helping Mateo with his numbers, so there you go.
There we
Everyone.
go. Yeah. I have one final
Mateo
image
will
to share.
Okay.
It's Theo, once again. The Thing at the Cottage. It's a horror movie about a premier who spends the whole summer ignoring our healthcare crisis. Okay, I got to go lie down. I'm tired. I will.
All right.
I'll see you later.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.